Hello, welcome to the audiobook of my Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's fanfic, Crimson Star Priestess. If you are enjoying this series, make sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe to my channel for updates. The link to the fanfic and my Discord server are in the description below. I do not own any Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's characters, I only own my original characters.
We shall begin with 5,000 life points each.
The king informed me.
After all, the first war with the Crimson Dragon, his servants and my servants occurred 5,000 years ago.
That's fine by me, I said with a glare. Let's duel! I drew the top 5 cards of my deck and got Oracle of the Sun, Apocatequil, Fire Ant Escator, Supai and Return of the Dragon Lords. This was an interesting hand to say the least. I go first. I draw. I called as I drew Breakthrough Skill. I summon Apocatequil in attack mode. I end my turn with that. What? That's it? Crow gasped from the mist cage. Come on, Estelle, use your main game.
Just a monster and not even a card to protect it.
The king chuckled mockingly.
I draw and I summon Baobabon in defense mode. Baobabon's effect. When he is normal or special summoned, I may draw one card from my deck, but I must then place one card at the bottom of the deck. Next, I play Reload. I shuffle my entire hand back to the deck and draw the same amount of cards. With that, I shall end my turn.
My turn. Draw! I called as I drew Supai Duskwalker. I summon Fire Ant Escator in attack mode. Apocatequil's effect. When there's a tuner monster on my field, his level goes up from level 4 to level 5. She's gonna synchro summon Sun Dragon Inti! I just know it! Leo cheered. Now I tune level 3 Fire Ant Escator with the level 5 Apocatequil. I called as the two monsters transformed into one. Dark-End Gales, become the wings that soar from resolved hope. Synchro summon, soar, Black-Winged Dragon! Black feathers rained around me as the Signer Dragon made his appearance on the field with a roaring shriek. What the? Hey, isn't that my card? Crow gasped in disbelief.
So one of the Crimson Dragon's servants has appeared. No matter, none of the dragons will be able to lay a single scratch on me.
Maybe not now, but later on, I pointed out. Black-Winged Dragon, destroy Baobabon! Black-Winged Dragon opened his beak-like mouth and collected energy before firing a black and purple energy beam at Baobabon. The monkey face on the tree shrieked in fear before it got destroyed.
Baobabon's second effect. When it's destroyed by battle or card effect, I can special summon any number of Baobabon from my deck. So I shall take the opportunity and special summon 2 of them. Baobabon's first effect. I draw 2 cards from my deck, but must place 2 cards at the bottom of it.
I nodded as I acknowledged the king's move. I end my turn.
I draw. I summon Spirit Reaper in defense mode.
I was familiar with this monster. It cannot be destroyed by battle, so I had no chance to get rid of it now. Maybe with Breakthrough Skill, but I wanted to save it for the worst case.
I shall end my turn.
My turn! I called as I drew Velon Stella. I summon Velon Stella in attack mode.
Are you about to synchro summon your Guardian Dragon, Priestess?
No, I'm not going to do that, I shook my head. Black-Winged Dragon, Velon Stella, destroy the 2 Baobabon. Black-Winged Dragon used his energy beam to destroy the first Baobabon, while Willon Stella punched the second Baobalon into pieces with rapid fists. I end my turn.
I draw. I release Spirit Reaper to tribute summon Mephist the Inferno General. Mephist the Inferno General, destroy Willon Stella.
The Inferno General's horse tapped the ground with its hoof before it dashed forward. Mephist raised his dual axe and aimed it at Willon Stella. My tuner monster cried in panic as Mephist slashed it with the axe. Willon Stella shattered into pieces that flew at me. I used my dual disc to shield my face from them. I grunted slightly as a small piece scratched my right cheek. This shadow duel was real, just as the other duels with the Dark Signers.
Mephist's effect. When he inflicts battle damage, I am allowed to discard one random card from your hand.
I raised my hand to show him the back of my 5 cards.
I choose the one to the very left.
He pointed at the back of Oracle of the Sun, so I grabbed the card and sent it to the graveyard.
I end my turn.
I draw! I called as I drew Shining Angel. I summon Shining Angel in attack mode. Time to show the evil darkness what we're capable of. Black-Winged Dragon, destroy Mephist the Inferno General. Black-Winged Dragon roared as he fired a new purple energy beam and destroyed Mephist. In the light, it looked like Mephist and his horse were melting into goo. Shining Angel, attack the king directly! The fairy monster cupped his hands and slowly created a bright light between the palms of his hands before he fired it at the king. The resurrected king didn't even flinch by the bright light as pieces of his sludge body scattered around him. "All right, go Estelle!" Leo cheered. "Keep this up and you'll win," Misty added. "I end my turn with that," I told the king. The king chuckled before it grew into a very loud laughter, which made me feel a bit uncomfortable. I did notice the shadow duel seemed to go too easy for me, as if the king didn't even attempt to try use full force. "What are you laughing at?" Jack growled at the resurrected king.
Oh, how ignorant you humans are. Did you sincerely believe I was playing easy from the very beginning?
"What do you mean?" Yusei asked.
I was merely waiting for the right moment to unleash my wrath. And now, thanks to your assistance, Priestess, I shall show you the terror that is waiting. I draw, and I activate the continue spell, Spell Absorption. For every spell card that both you and I activate, I shall receive 500 life points. Next, I play Monster Reborn to special summon Mephist the Inferno General. And spell Absorption activates.
Before the Monster Reborn card vanished from the field, it sent a thin aura to the continuous spell card. A soft glowing pink orb floated out of the card and sent a cloud of shiny particles to the resurrected king.
Next, I summon the tuner monster Phantom King Hydride in attack mode.
A tuner monster? That means he's going to synchro summon, Aki realized.
Correct, Signer. I tune level 3 Phantom King Hydride with the level 5 Mephist the Inferno General to synchro summon the dragon, the Crimson Dragon created by his negative energy and banished to the Netherworld.
Wait, you mean there was another Signer dragon? Is it Leo's destined dragon? Luna asked in disbelief.
The king of the Netherworld cannot rule the world alone, as he needs a queen by his side to assist him with her own power of darkness, to crunch everything and everyone who dares to stand in our way. Together, we shall pull the curtain of darkness to drown the curtain of light. Come forth, my queen, beings of the diabolic dragons!
The 8 level stars created a beacon of dark light that the beacon of energy reacted to. Both beacons shone bright for a moment before 2 dragon cries echoed from them. My eyes widened in shock and disbelief as I saw a dragon I had only seen in the manga. "What is that thing?" Carly shrieked in fear. "I've never heard of this monster," Kalin added. "Beels," Dark-Winged Dragon growled. "Hello, Black-Winged," Beels replied. "It's such a pleasure to see you again." "You joined forces with the king of the Netherworld?" Black-Winged Dragon snarled. Beels chuckled amusingly. "But of course, my former lord banished me because I was created by his negative energy." "What are you talking about?" I asked while feeling very confused. "Then allow me to explain, priestess," Beels said. "Once upon a time, the Crimson Dragon was corrupted by his own darkness, but a piece of his consciousness knew he had to stop himself from destroying the world, so he used his remaining light to create 5 Cyanide dragons who could keep him at bay. However, when it seemed nothing could stop the Lord, 2 bright stars descended from the sky and assisted the Cyanide dragon. Together, they were able to purify the Crimson Dragon and purge the negative energy that corrupted him. The Lord gave shape and life to the negative energy, creating the 7th Cyanide Dragon, me, Beels of the Diabolic Dragons." This legend sounded very similar to the manga version. In the manga, the Crimson Dragon was a dark god, but he created the Cyanide Dragons, or Door Dragons as they were called, to keep him at bay with the help of the Priests of Light. But those bright stars never appeared in the manga. Were they supposed to represent Stardust Dragon and Star Eater? So they weren't created by the Crimson Dragon? Didn't that make them aliens, just like how I was in this world? However, after giving birth to me, my former lord banished me to the Netherworld, fearing that chaos should break loose if I remained on the surface. Beers continued before snorting. "Phew, a foolish mistake. I joined the Army of Shadows and helped the Earthbound Immortals to break through their seals to crawl up to the surface."
Beels remained by my side as my guardian and queen, as my servants waged war against the Crimson Dragon and his servants. The rest is history. But enough talk. Beels, attack Shining Angel. Show them your destructive power, my queen.
"With pleasure." Beers' dragon heads opened their mouth and collected the dark energy before they fired a dual beam at Shining Angel. My monster tried to shield himself by holding up his arms in front of his face, but he got obliterated. My hair and robe ruffled violently by the force of Beel's attack. When Shining Angel is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, I can special summon 1 light monster with 1500 or less attack points from my deck, I called. I choose Galaxy Serpent.
I can tell you are plotting something. I end my turn.
My turn, I called as I drew enemy controller. I discard 1 card from my hand to the graveyard to special summon Supai Duskwalker in defense mode. I discarded the 2 monster Supai before summoning its assigned spellcaster. When she's special summoned like this, I can special summon Supai from my deck. I tune a level 2 Galaxy Serpent with level 5 Supai Duskwalker. Docking strength with courage to protect world peace. Synchro summon, envoy of love and justice, power tool dragon. Alright, that's my card, Leo cheered joyfully. I'm not done yet. I now tune level 1 Supai with the level 7 Power 2 Dragon to reveal his true self. The courage and power to protect the future of the planet is a revolution. Synchro Summon, Evolve, Live Stream Dragon. The machine monster roared as its armor broke into a million pieces, revealing the form that had been hiding for a long time. At the same time, I raised my hand to the sky as a new cord appeared between my fingers. I slammed the card on the dual disc just as the head armor of the once machine monster broke apart. My marker glowed through the textile gauntlet on my arm, signaling the last signer dragon had made its first official appearance. I glanced over my shoulder to see the signer's marks were glowing as well. Our marks! Aki exclaimed in disbelief. They're responding to Live Stream Dragon, Yusei said, just as they responded to Black Winged Dragon the first time he appeared. Leo, that means Live Stream Dragon is your signer dragon, Luna called. I saw him in the dream about our dragons and the Crimson Dragon fighting the Earthbound Immortals. Leo watched Live Stream Dragon in awe and with big bright eyes. Live Stream Dragon? He was hiding as Power 2 Dragon the whole time! A wide grin appeared on his face. I know it! I knew I was a signer since birth, like Luna! When Live Stream Dragon is synchro summoned, I can make my life points become 4,000 instead, I continued. Live Stream Dragon roared as he released an orange cloud of pixie dust. The dust rained down on me as I closed my eyes and enjoyed the brief warm feeling of the signer dragon's effect. I checked my hand. Should I place enemy controller and breakthrough skill face down to stop Beers for the next turn? But Beers was a difficult dragon. She couldn't be destroyed by battle or card effects. The only way to get rid of her was if I could banish her, but now I couldn't. I should wait one more turn and find out what the King of the Netherworld wanted to do. Besides, I had a plan with the spell and trap cards, so I wanted to save them. I end my turn.
I draw. I play Terraforming to add the field spell Earthbound Glyph from my deck to my hand, and spell Absorption activates.
If the king was adding a field spell card to his hand, he was planning to summon an Earthbound Immortal.
I activate Earthbound Geoglyph.
Purple mist appeared around us as they obviously formed a geoglyph, but I couldn't tell which Nazca line it was forming. At the same time, spell absorption activated and restored the king's life points.
My queen, allow me to do the next move.
Do what you must, my king, Bills purred.
While Earthbound Geoglyph is active, I may treat one synchro monster as 2 tributes of an Earthbound Immortal.
What? My friends exclaimed in disbelief.
I release Beers of the Diabolic Dragons to tribute summon Earthbound Immortal Azulapiscu.
Beers transformed into a rainbow orb that split into 2. They shot up to the sky where they fused into one, emitting a bright light. When the light died down, it revealed a Stoneheart that beat in a steady rhythm while it absorbed the negative energy from the energy beacon. I quickly turned around to see how my friends were doing. They were protected by a crimson energy dome, so Misty, Kalin, and Carly wouldn't get sacrificed for this summoning. The Stoneheart unleashed a purple beacon of light that hit the ground, causing a brief quake before Earthbound Immortal Azulapiscu appeared from the purple mist with a loud screech echoing from its tuning beak. My eyes widened in shock to see an Earthbound Immortal again. Weren't they sealed away by the Crimson Dragon after the final Shadow Turbo Duel? Did they get help from Beers while the King of the Netherworld was slowly regenerating himself inside of me? My head suddenly throbbed harshly by a headache. I grunted softly as I rubbed my head to soothe the pain. The headache was the same I had whenever an earthbound immortal was summoned in the past. I almost jumped out of my skin when I heard one of the girls scream in pain behind me. I turned around and saw Carly was down on her knees while clutching her head. The others surrounded her, trying to calm her down. This duel reminded me a lot of the duel in my nightmares, with me turbo-dueling Jack, and the purple mist around us looked like the course we drove around with our runners. But the biggest shock was the sight of this large black and orange hummingbird. It looked exactly like that shadow that tried to manipulate me in my dreams. Its screech was the same too, and it hurt my ears for a moment. The next thing I knew, I got the mother of all headaches. I cried out in pain as I collapsed on my knees, clutching my head as it felt like it was going to crack open. I could barely hear my friends call my name as I fought against the pain. I had my eyes shut tight, but I snapped them open with a loud gasp as clear images flew through my head. The Shadow Turbo Duel, my fortune ladies, Jack bleeding, my desire to make Jack mine and mine alone by killing him. No, it couldn't be. Carly! Carly! Can you hear me? Jack's voice echoed around me. I slowly moved my head up, my eyes getting glassy by tears as I saw Jack's worried expression. Jack! I'm here, Carly! Jack said as he wrapped an arm around me. Jack! I bit my lower lip to stop the sobs in my throat. I'm so sorry, Jack. I'm sorry I hurt you and almost killed you. Carly! Jack's voice shook as I cried openly. Do you remember? I nodded as I tried to calm myself down, but my tears flowed like waterfalls. I'm sorry, Jack. I never wanted to hurt you, but I... Jack held me tight as I tried taking deep breaths to calm down. I know, Carly, he said in a low voice, and I forgive you. You weren't yourself back then. You're not the one to blame. His words almost made me want to cry even harder. How could he forgive me when I had almost killed him? I didn't deserve his warm hug, and yet I was drawn to it as a moth drawn to the light. I needed Jack's warmth against my cold body. I overheard what was going on with Carly, and it made me feel uncomfortable. She remembered her dark past, and it was because of Earthbound Immortal Asulapiscu's presence. I growled through my gritted teeth and turned to the king of the Netherworld. You added Asulapiscu to your deck on purpose, didn't you? You wanted to mess with Carly's mind and make her remember her past as a dark signer.
You are half correct, Priestess. I have every Earthbound Immortal in my deck, except Viracocharaska.
And why is that? I couldn't help but ask.
Because Miracle Star Dragon killed him.
You mean he got destroyed?
No, Viracocharaska was killed by Miracle Star Dragon's Crimson Gungnir attack. His spirit and body are no longer in our world, just as your guardian killed my main body. It is time for you to face the wrath of my army. Asulapiscu, attack directly!
Asulapiscu chirped before he flew forward with the sharp beak aimed at me. Black-winged dragon and livestream dragon tried blocking the immortal's path, but they got swept aside like flies by the hummingbird's wings. I had nothing that could stop Asulapiscu's attack, so I crossed my arms in front of my face and braced myself for impact. My eyes were on the pointy beak and watched it come closer. It was only inches away from me when my mark began glowing and formed a crimson energy dome around me. as the Lapisco's beak collided with the dome and caused sparks and noise like claws against a chalk blackboard. I blinked at the defensive mechanism my mark had activated. This was the first time it had activated on its own without a signer right next to me. Was it because my mark was now completed and had a stronger power than before? I snapped back to reality when I saw cracks growing on the dome. The next thing I knew, I crashed onto the ground, bouncing a few times before I landed on my stomach. I heard my friends yell my name in the background, but my attention went to the pain I felt in my body. I grunted as I slowly pushed myself up onto my elbows and knees. My entire body ached, so it was hard for me to get up on my feet after I picked up the cards I had dropped. "Estelle, are you okay?" Yusei called. Yeah, I grunted. "I'm okay."
But not for long. I end my turn. Choose your next move well.
I draw. I merely glared at the king as I drew Swords of Revealing Light. It came at the perfect timing, but that was not the only thing. I could feel how my crimson eyes were burning, but they didn't hurt as a pentagram appeared beneath my feet. The energy emitting from the pentagram caused my robe, skirt and hair to float like water as I sensed the presence of the Crimson Dragon. It's time for the ritual. I released the level 8 Synchro Tuner monster, Livestream Dragon, and the level 8 non-tuner Synchro monster, Black-Winged Dragon, as tributes to summon the Crimson Dragon himself. Come forth, Ultimaya Tsoken! Livestream Dragon and Black-Winged Dragon flew up to the sky while transforming into two energy beams that shot themselves to the clouds. The clouds began forming a spiral with red lightning cracking like a thunderstorm. My mark glowed brighter and stronger as the wind around me grew violent. A familiar dragon cry erupted before a long serpent body flew down from the spiral cloud and hovered above me. The Crimson Dragon roared at the Earthbound Immortal as its synchro card appeared in the middle of my dual disc with a soft crimson light. It was time to bring out the true power of the Crimson Dragon and the Signer Dragons in order to get rid of the King of the Netherworld and stop the Army of Shadows from entering the surface of the planet.
So you have appeared, Ultimaya Tsoken.
King of the Netherworld, you dare bring the Earthbound Immortals back to the surface!
The Crimson Dragon growled.
I have a lot to thank you for, especially for banishing my queen to the Netherworld. If it was not for her, I would not be here, standing on the surface of the world I wish to put into ruins and allow my army to roam free with no shackles.
I shall not allow that to happen. We shall stop you and your ruthless plans. Priestess?
I nodded, knowing what I had to do next as I picked up a breakthrough skill from my hand. I place one card face down and Ultimaya's effect activates. Once per turn, when I set a card, I can special summon one level 7 or 8 Dragon type Synchro monster from the extra deck.
What?
I special summon the shooting star himself, Stardust Dragon! A silver star fell from the sky as it slowly transformed into the Signer Dragon. He screeched at the King of the Netherworld while flying next to the Crimson Dragon. As long as I have another Synchro monster on the field, Ultimaya Tsoken can't be targeted for attacks or by card effects.
Then allow me to activate another effect of Earthbound Geoglyph. If a Synchro monster is special summoned, I may add one Earthbound Immortal spell or trap card from my deck to my hand. I choose the ultimate Earthbound Immortal trap card.
I gritted my teeth irritably. I had forgotten about that effect of Earthbound Geoglyph. Luckily, I had Stardust Dragon on the field, so I could tribute him when the king would activate his new trap card. I activate Swords of Revealing Light. This immobilizes your monsters for your next 3 turns. 4 swords made of light appeared in the sky before they stabbed themselves into the ground around the king's field. A large half-transparent dome of light enveloped the field minus Azulapisco. However, a 5th light sword appeared in front of the hummingbird and stabbed it in the chest, causing it to get paralyzed. At the same time, the king's spell absorption card activated. "Now it's time to battle," I called. "Stardust Dragon, attack directly with Cosmic Flare." Stardust Dragon raised his head before unleashing a silvery flaming beam from his mouth. It went straight to the king, who tried to shield himself with his right arm, but the attack hit and forced him back a bit. I end my turn. The king muttered something as he walked back to the field and drew a card.
I draw, and first I set 1 card. Next, I play Allure of Darkness. I get to draw 2 cards, but I must banish 1 dark monster from my hand, or else I have to send my entire hand to the graveyard. I banish Earthbound Immortal Chakur Chalhua from my hand.
A transparent figure of the killer whale Immortor appeared out of nowhere above us. It was even bigger than Azulapisco. I watched how Chakur Chalhua floated around before he vanished into a wormhole. While that was happening, the king's spell absorption card glowed as his life points increased.
That will be all for now. I end my turn.
I draw, I called as I drew my second Return of the Dragon Lords. I set 1 card and Ultimaya's effect activates. I called as I set enemy controller. I special summoned the Rainbow Guardian of the Spirit World. Join us, Ancient Fairy Dragon! The 7-colored arc lit up the sky as it appeared in the middle of the darkness around us. A small shiny particle flew under the arc before it transformed into Ancient Fairy Dragon. She took her place on the other side of the Crimson Dragon.
Earthbound Gilglyph's effect. I add Earthbound Immortal Revival from my deck to my hand, but I shall now activate my continuous trap, Ultimate Earthbound Immortal, once per turn. As long as I have a normal summoned Earthbound Immortal on the field, I can choose and destroy 1 monster, whether it belongs to me or to my opponent. I choose to destroy Ancient Fairy Dragon.
Azulapisco opened his beak to collect negative energy before he fired a bright purple beam toward the chosen Steiner Dragon. I activate Stardust Dragon's effect, I called. I tribute him to negate your trap card and destroy it. Stardust Dragon, use Victim Sanctuary! Stardust Dragon roared as he flew towards the incoming purple beam. He transformed into a cloud of silvery pixie dust that blocked the trap card's effect and shattered the beam into pieces along with the card. I had to think for a second. Ancient Fairy Dragon had the effect to destroy a field spell on the field, and I could gain 1000 life points, and I could get rid of Azulapisco without getting any inflicted damage by his other effect.
I can see in your eyes what you are planning, Priestess, but I hate to inform you that you cannot destroy Earthbound Gilglyph.
I blinked confusedly at that statement. Why not? I asked.
As long as there is a level 10 monster on the field spell cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effects.
I bit my lower lip in frustration that I couldn't go with that plan just yet. I end my turn and Stardust Dragon returns to the field. Said the dragon flew out from a gate that appeared on the ground and he let out a shriek of joy.
I draw. I place 2 cards face down and end my turn.
I draw. I called as I drew Curry Bandit. I summon Curry Bandit in attack mode. I was about to command Stardust Dragon to attack directly when the Crimson Dragon's voice spoke in my head.
No, do not command my servants to fight.
I glanced confusedly at the Dragon God. Why not? I whispered.
If we wish to eliminate the King of the Netherworld once and for all, I need my servants to unleash an assault strong enough that there will be no traces of him left behind. If a single piece of him remains after the duel, he shall be resurrected again.
So that meant I had to summon the 2 remaining Signer Dragons before I could take out the king with a united attack. I nodded to the Crimson Dragon, letting him know I was going to try stalling the Shadow Duel long enough to call out Red Dragon Archfiend and the Black Rose Dragon. I end my turn and Curry Bandit's effect activates. What are you doing, Estelle? Attack the king directly to end the Shadow Duel! Jack yelled angrily. I ignored him while Curry Bandit dispersed into pieces. With Curry Bandit's effect, I'm allowed to excavate the top 5 cards of my deck and add 1 spell or trap card to my hand. The other cards are then sent to the graveyard. I drew the top 5 cards and saw I got Dust Tornado, Supai Duskwalker, Askator Dawnwalker, Mirror Force and the Dragon's Rage. I was debating between Dust Tornado and Mirror Force before making a final decision. I add Dust Tornado to my hand. I showed the chosen card and added it to my hand before discarding the remaining cards.
I draw. I summon Giant Germ into defense mode.
I was familiar with this monster. If I attacked it and sent it to the graveyard, it would inflict 500 points of damage. I couldn't take that risk right now with my life points being so low.
I end my turn.
My turn. I called as I drew 1 for 1, not a card I was looking for. The effect of Swords of Revealing Light is now over. The light swords removed themselves from the concrete and the earthbound immortal before they shattered into pieces. Azulapisco chirped loudly, sounding relieved to be free from its prison. I set 1 card and Ultimaya's effect activates. I called as I set Dust Tornado. I special summon the rose that has blossomed into its new self. Join us, Black Rose Dragon! A large pink bud appeared on the field before it darkened and opened its petals, revealing the true form of Black Rose Dragon.
Earthbound Geoglyphs effect. I add Roar of the Earthbound Immortal from my deck to my hand.
I end my turn. Why aren't you attacking, Estelle? Kalin called. I have my reasons why, I replied. Believe in me, I know what I'm doing.
Do you know? I draw and I place 2 cards face down.
I knew one of the new face down cards was Roar of the Earthbound Immortal, but I had no idea which one it was. Besides, I had to act now. I activate one of my face downs, Breakthrough Skill, I yelled. I negate Earthbound Immortal Azulapisco's effects for the rest of this turn. That means he can't attack directly. The trap card glowed before a dragon paw came out from it and flew straight to Azulapisco. It stopped in front of the Immortal's face, but it then gave the hummingbird a big slap on the beak, causing the bird to shriek in surprise.
So I may not be able to eliminate you this turn, but Azulapisco can still get rid of one of the Signer Dragons. Earthbound Azulapisco, destroy Black Rose Dragon!
Azulapisco chirped like a tuning fork before he bowed his body to spear Black Rose Dragon. The Crimson Dragon and the 2 other Signer Dragons could only watch in horror as the rose dragon got pierced by the hummingbird's beak and shattered into pieces. The shards flew around me as they cut my clothes and my cheeks. I activate my Durst Tornado trap card, I called while I ignored the stinging feeling from the bleeding cut on my cheeks. I choose to destroy spell absorption. A tornado came out from the card and hit the continuous spell card. The wind blew it up to the sky before it got ripped into millions of pieces. Now I could activate spell cards without the king gaining more energy to stay alive in the shadow duel.
Clever. I end my turn.
I draw, I called as I drew a feather of the phoenix. I play Return of the Dragon Lords from my hand to special summon Black Rose Dragon from the graveyard. I set one card and Ultimaya's effect activates, I called as I placed 1/1 on the duel disc. I special summoned the last Signer Dragon, the true king of the Archfiends, the dragon with the eternal blazing soul. Come forth, Red Dragon Archfiend! A tiny flame appeared on the field before it expanded into a massive fireball. I could see the silhouette of Red Dragon Archfiend inside of it as he prepared himself to make his entrance.
I counter the summoning with Solemn Judgment. I'll pay half my life points to negate the summoning and the Signer Dragon is destroyed.
The trap card released a light in the shape of a halo that flew towards Red Dragon Archfiend, who was about to come out from the burning orb. "Oh no, you don't!" I yelled. "Stardust Dragon's effect! I tribute him to negate your trap card's effect. Stardust, use Victim Sanctuary once again!" Stardust Dragon flew towards the fiery orb and collided with the halo just before it could hit Red Dragon Archfiend. The silvery Signer Dragon glowed in a yellowish light as he vanished, while Red Dragon Archfiend ripped the fiery orb apart and roared to the sky. I play my second Return of the Dragon Lords from my hand to bring back Stardust Dragon to the field.
So you have summoned your army of dragons.
"Yes, and there will be your demise," I said. I remove Breakthrough skill from the graveyard to negate Asulapisco's effect for the rest of the turn, meaning we can attack and destroy him directly. As I removed said trap card, the Crimson Dragon's body glowed before he let out a cry. He raised his serpent tail and tail whipped Asulapisco on the beak, making the immortal cry out in pain once again. I switch Ancient Fairy Dragon to attack mode, I continued. "It's time to end this duel, right here, right now," I yelled determinedly. "Red Dragon Archfiend, destroy Earthbound Immortal Asulapisco! Go! Absolute Power Force!" Red Dragon Archfiend roared as he clenched his right clawed hand into a fiery fist before he flew towards the Immortal. Asulapisco tried to fly back to not get hit, but the Signer Dragon pierced his way through the Immortal's chest. The hummingbird chirped in pain as his weak body fell into the beacon of energy that evaporated him for good. I heard how the others cheered in joy at the defeat of the Immortal. I quickly looked over my shoulder and saw Carly was back to her normal self, but she looked exhausted with red eyes and dried streaks of tears on her cheeks. "Black Rose Dragon, destroy Giant Germ with Black Rose Flare!" Black Rose Dragon released a breath of dark purple and black rose petals from her mouth that hit the Giant Germ. The orb monster glowed for a brief moment, almost like a countdown, before it exploded into pieces. Debris flew around me as I shielded my face with my arm.
Giant Germ's effect. When it is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you take 500 points of damage, and I may special summon 2 more of them from my deck, but I choose not to.
Why did the king choose to do that? Now his field was empty, minus the 2 face-down cards he had, so I could defeat him. Ancient Fairy Dragon, end the Shadow Duel with Eternal Sunshine! The Signet Dragon released a cry as she spread her wings open and flew towards the king, ready to burn his sludge body into ashes.
I activate my trap, offering to the immortals.
I released a gasp of surprise as said trap card flipped up. So that was why he didn't choose to special summon 2 giant germs. If he had monsters on the field, he wouldn't have been able to activate the trap card.
Ancient Fairy Dragon's attack is negated and I get to summon 2 ceremonial tokens to the field. And not only that, I add Earthbound Immortal Uru from my deck to my hand. Next, I activate the continuous trap, Escalation of the Monarchs. Once per turn, during my opponent's main or battle phase, I can tribute summon a monster.
What? I exclaimed in surprise. My knees suddenly began shaking as I had a feeling what was going to happen next. My heart pounded faster against my chest as fear grew inside me.
I activate Escalation of the Monarchs. I release the 2 ceremonial tokens to tribute summon Earthbound Immortal Uru.
The 2 tokens transformed into rainbow orbs that flew up to the sky and fused into a bright light. A second heartstone appeared in the light and beat in a steady rhythm while negative energy flew into it to give the heart strength. It soon unleashed a purple beacon of light, pretty much the same scenario as with Azulapiscu. Uru crawled from the purple mist and stood taller than the highest skyscraper that had been built on satellite. I felt my arachnophobia surge through my body as fresh memories from the time Crow pranked me with the fake spider came over me. My body shook violently as a splitting headache erupted. I dropped the single card I had in my hand and fell down on my knees, clutching my head as I tried to calm myself down, but I couldn't control myself right now. I even felt some bile go up my throat, so I used my right hand to cover my mouth and tried swallowing it back.
I suspect this is the end of your turn, Priestess, but let us not forget about Red Dragon Archfiend's effect. He destroys every monster of yours that were not able to declare an attack this turn. The Crimson Dragon might be safe, but your favorite Stardust Dragon is not.
I raised my head to see Red Dragon Archfiend turn to Stardust Dragon while he clenched his hand into a fiery fist, ready to send his ally to the graveyard. Stop! I called weakly as I reached my hand to my duodisc to push a button connected to the graveyard. I removed one of the Return of the Dragon Lords from my graveyard to save Stardust Dragon from destruction. Said spell card was spat out from the graveyard, which I grabbed and removed from play. Red Dragon Archfiend's fist halted only inches away from Stardust Dragon's face. Stardust Dragon never reacted to the attack, but he let out a purr of relief as his ally moved back to his position on the field. I pushed myself up on one knee and picked up my dropped A Feather of the Phoenix as I finally felt the harsh headache fading into a gentle aftershock. I took a few deep breaths before getting up on both feet. Turn end, I said briefly while rubbing my sore head.
You are a stubborn woman, Priestess, but rest assured, the struggle shall soon be over. I draw, and I summon my second Spirit Reaper in defense mode. Earthbound Immortal Uru's effect. Attribute Spirit Reaper to gain control of one of your Signet Dragons until the end of this turn. I choose Red Dragon Archfiend.
Spirit Reaper transformed into energy that Uru absorbed into his mouth while getting enveloped in a red aura. Uru then spat his spiderweb at Red Dragon Archfiend, causing the Signet Dragon to struggle against the web. He roared furiously as the Immortal dragged him over to the king's field. "Red Dragon Archfiend!" Jack yelled in shock.
Let us extend the ending a little bit by making you suffer, Priestess. Red Dragon Archfiend, attack Ancient Fairy Dragon with absolute power force.
"Forgive me!" Red Dragon Archfiend roared as he flew towards Ancient Fairy Dragon with his fiery fist. Stardust Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, and the Crimson Dragon watched in horror as the Archfiend Dragon punched the Rainbow Dragon, but she never shattered into pieces. However, the remains of Red Dragon Archfiend's fiery fist ruffled violently around me as I cried in pain by the flames. I barely heard the ripping noise of my robe being torn apart by the attack. I could smell the slight burnt flesh on me, but I was still standing despite being physically and mentally tired. I removed my second Return of the Dragon Lords from the graveyard to save Ancient Fairy Dragon from destruction, I called as the second copy of the spell card was ejected from my graveyard.
As if it is useful. It is time to face your fate, Priestess. Earthbound Immortal Uru, attack directly. Send the Signer's Priestess to the Netherworld and let her be reborn as the Dark Signer's Priestess.
Uru raised his head before he spat his spiderweb towards me, but I was ready. I activate my face-down quick play spell, Enemy Controller, I called. I choose to switch Earthbound Immortal Uru's battle position, meaning he won't be able to attack me. The controller of the artwork appeared on the field and sent its cord toward Uru. The cord got attached on the Immortal's forehead before the buttons on the controller flashed, switching the shadow monster to defense mode. This caused the Immortal's attack to halt in halfway, the spiderweb withering in the middle of the air.
Curse you, Priestess!
I glared back in return. No matter what pain I go through, I will always remain on my feet and protect the people I love, even if it means I have to sacrifice my own life.
So sentimental. I hate it so much. I end my turn.
That means Red Dragon Archfiend returns to my side of the field, I continued, feeling slightly stronger than a few minutes ago. Red Dragon Archfiend roared in relief as he flew back to my side to join his allies and its lord. Because Uru had declared an attack, the Immortal was still on the field and didn't get destroyed by the Signer Dragon's effect. I draw! I called as I drew Hand Destruction, hoping this was going to be the last turn of the Shadow Duel. I play Hand Destruction! We both send 2 cards from our hands to the graveyard and we draw 2 cards each. I sent a Feather of the Phoenix to the graveyard and drew the top 2 cards of my deck. I got Stamping Destruction and United We Stand. 2 perfect cards. Let's play your own game, King. I play Stamping Destruction. I destroy your face-down card and you get inflicted by 500 points of damage. Black Rose Dragon, care to do the honor? With pleasure, Black Rose Dragon replied. The Rose Signer Dragon flapped her wings and flew towards the face-down card, which I suspected was Roar of the Earthbound Immortal. She descended onto the card with her feet and crushed it into pieces. From what I could tell by the shards, they reflected the image of the trap card I had a hunch on. One of the shards barely missed the king's arm, but it got a long cut on the sludge body.
Curse you! Curse you all!
I now equip Ultimaya Tzolk'in with United We Stand. He gains 800 attack and defense points for each monster on my field. My field is complete with 5 monsters, so he gains 4000 attack points. The Crimson Dragon roared as the 4 Signer Dragon's body began glowing in a gentle orange color. Their aura fused into one that they sent to their lord. The Crimson Dragon got enveloped in the orange aura as his magna-like body shone brighter.
No, it cannot be!
It's time to face your fate, King of the Netherworld! The darkness will never win against the light, I yelled determinedly. Ultimate Token, Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Black Rose Dragon, Ancient Fairy Dragon, attack! The 5 dragons roared simultaneously before they unleashed their signature attacks. The attacks fused into one major energy beam that expanded in size as it approached the King of the Netherworld. The light got so bright I couldn't see what was happening to the sludge body. The force of the attack was so strong it pushed me back. Since all my strength had now vanished, I fell down to the ground on my back. I could barely keep my eyes open as the world seemed to fade around me. The last thing I heard was the painful cries of the King of the Netherworld. A tiny tear ran down my right cheek as I prayed I had done everything I could to protect this world. After that, I lost consciousness. The dragon's attacks swallowed both the body of the king and the earthbound immortal Uru in a strong white light. The king cried in pain as his body burned into ashes along with the immortal spider. The signers and the non-signers shielded their eyes from the bright light as the ground rumbled violently. The beacon of energy shone along with the dragon's attack before the beacon slowly disappeared, returning to the old reactor. The light died down, revealing a ruined battlefield with thin smoke floating up from the melted debris. The geoglyph and the ring that had encaged Esther's friends vanished to never appear again. They looked up as they noticed the commotion was over and saw the destruction of the Shadow Duel. The Signer dragons, including Black Winged Dragon and Livestream Dragon, flew in the sky as their eyes were watching the fallen body of Estelle. The Signer dragon was nowhere to be seen. "Estelle!" the twins cried worriedly. The group rushed to Estelle and gathered around her. Jack had Carly by her shoulders as she was still a bit overwhelmed by the memories of her past as a dark signer. "Is she okay?" Crow asked as Yusei and Kalin kneeled down next to the brunette. Kalin picked up Estelle's left arm and checked her pulse with his fingertips. "Her pulse is a bit weak, but she's okay," he replied. Misty, Aki, and the twins sighed loudly in relief. "Thank goodness," the model said with a smile. "She's got some bruises and cuts, but they don't look serious," Aki commented. "We should treat them." A soft crimson light emitted from Estelle, causing the group to snap their eyes at the woman. The brunette's body was enveloped in a crimson aura before it vanished, revealing the power of the star mark had changed her back into her Halloween costume. Her hair had changed back in the way the King of the Netherworld had cut it when he tried to behead her. Her wounds had remained on her body, both bleeding scratches and burning marks. Yusei wrapped his arms around Estelle before he gently picked her up in bridal style and kept her body close to his to provide some body heat. "We need to bring her to the hospital," he told the others. "Gotcha," Crow nodded. "But none of us can carry her on our lap while we drive our runners." "Carly, do you feel like you can drive your car?" Jack asked the reporter with an unusual kind voice. I don't know," Carly confessed as she shook her head. "I still feel a bit shaken up." "I can drive," Misty raised her hand. "I may have my private limousine and chauffeur, but I've got a driver's license." The group jumped in surprise as the Signer dragons roared simultaneously to the sky. They looked up and saw the Crimson Dragon had reappeared. The god flew far above the dragons and humans, but everyone could sense his intense glance. The Crimson Dragon released a roar in reply before he flew up to the clouds, leaving the battlefield. Designer dragons roared again before they transformed into their card forms and flew to their respective signer. Jack, Crow, Aki, and Luna caught their cards, while Yusei's card flew into a pocket of his jeans. Leo caught the 2 cards of Power 2 Dragon and the newborn card of Livestream Dragon. "Look! I've got Livestream Dragon! He really is my signer dragon!" Leo exclaimed in joy. Kalin chuckled softly before he heard a noise coming from the sky. He looked up and saw a few helicopters heading toward their location. "Guys, we've got company!" The others looked up and saw the helicopters. One of the choppers had the Daily Duel logo, so that told the group the choppers were from news channels. However, one helicopter with Sector Security logo descended to them, the rotor blade causing the wind to blow violently around them. The helicopter landed before the slide door opened to reveal Goodwin and a small crew of 3 securities behind him. "It's Goodwin!" Jack called. "Are you children okay?" Goodwin yelled through the bombarding noise of the spinning rotor blade. "We're fine, but Estelle needs medical attention," Yusei called. Goodwin's eyes landed on the fainted brunette and saw her condition. He quickly turned to the crew behind him. "Prepare a medical stretcher," he commanded. "Yes, sir," the securities responded. Goodwin jumped out of the helicopter and hurried to Yusei. The signer headed to Goodwin so they could meet up halfway. The director held his arms out before Yusei gently placed Estelle onto them. The adult cradled the young woman close to his chest. "Thank you, Yusei. I'll take it from here," he assured the youngster. "Okay," Yusei nodded. "Call us as soon as she's awake." "I will," Goodwin promised. The director hurried back to the helicopter and got some help from his men to gently load Estelle into the aerial transportation. Once Goodwin was in the helicopter, it ascended to the sky and hurried to New Domino City. Yusei and the rest of the group watched the helicopter until it became one with the night sky, its lights easily mistaken by the stars. The news choppers must have realized nothing interesting was happening, so they left the scene to follow the Sector Security chopper. No one said a word as the signers and the non-signers were starting to feel the aftermath of their shadow duel. They weren't the ones who had dueled, but the tension and worry inside them had drained their mental energy, so they were now feeling exhausted. "I hope Estelle is going to be okay," Aki commented softly. "Me too," Carly nodded, cuddling against Jack as she held onto his jacket. Yusei released a soft sigh through his nose as his eyes were at the star-coating night sky. "Let's go home," he told the others. "Yeah, I'm suddenly so tired," Luna nodded as she rubbed her heavy eyelids to keep herself awake. "Me too," Leo said before yawning loudly. "I'm ready to hit the sack," Crow said tiredly. The group headed to their waiting door runners and Carly's car to get home and get some rest after this adventure. This was surely a Halloween no one was ever going to forget, but right now the signers' minds were on Estelle as they prayed she was okay and she didn't suffer from any damage after the king of the Netherworld had almost killed her.